Hey YouTube, it is league turnover, so Great League Open is out, Ultra League is in, but the Retro Cup Great League is actually on again. So this is kind of good because it was just on last week. I've actually got a couple teams ready to go for this week, which I will talk about in the top teams because they worked very, very well. So you get an early head start there. But what we're going to do is we're going to go over the new rankings because the rankings have updated based on the new move sets and the new buffs and nerfs and everything. So we're going to go over that new ranking and then go over the teams that I've used that have worked already, some sort of old teams that still the concept still works, and then some new teams that I put together with teams. So timestamp below if you want to check those out, but I think we should take a look first. Actually, no, sorry. Let's look at the information because you can already, I do this every time, because you can already tell what's going to be strong based on what is not eligible. So Retro Cup, 1500 CP Great League, Dark, Steel, and Fairy Band, right? So there's two things right off the bat that in the past was obvious that they got buffed based on these, and they still work now. So the first is Dragon, and holy smokes, Dragon's already sort of buffed in the Great League. It is super strong in this league because you have basically a couple things here that being banned helps you. Fairy being banned, obviously that does super effective against you, and you can only hit resisted. And Steel is helpful being banned because Steel resists most of the Dragon moves that you use anyways, unless you have something like Dragonite with superpower. You really can't hit Steels for the most part. So Dragon's bumped. Ghost is also bumped up because Dark is banned. Ghost only has like a few weaknesses. Ghost, Mirror Match, and then Dark. So having Dark banned just takes off a lot of your a lot of the main issues you have. So now your biggest weakness is you're weak to Ghost, and then you have to watch out for like not being able to throw anything at normal type Pokemon. So that was sort of that. And then Flying. Because Steel is banned, Flying generally was unable to throw anything at Steels. Flyers got a bump. So that's kind of how it's worked in the past. And if you look at the rankings, that's kind of how it works now. So here's the list. I'm going to break it down into basically those categories plus a few others. So let's first just start with Flyers, right? You have Mantine, Golbat, Gligar, Pelipper, Pidgeot, Golbat again, non-shadow, Altaria, and yeah, half Flyer, half Dragon, depending on where you want to put that. Rufflet, and they're all your Flyers, right? So Mantine is ranked 1. The reason I think Mantine is ranked 1 is because it has that secondary Ice Beam, and just because Dragons are going to be everywhere on this list, as you're going to see where we're going to go next, right? So because there's so many Flyers and there's so many Dragons, I think Mantine is number 1 because it has that Ice Beam potential. I think it's a bit overrated at number 1, quite honestly, but having Bulk, having the Wing Attack, Fast Move, Aerial Ace, quick to get to, plus now an Ice Beam for all those Dragons and Flyers makes it strong. Looking at the other Flyers on this list, I think just like Golbat is one of those where it's just like you can really kind of ramp up if you lower your opponent's defense with Poison Fang. And then Shadow Ball is a nice coverage for the Ghost, which are more prevalent, right? Because I said Ghost because there's no Dark. So you have the Shadow Ball too, super effective against the Ghost. And then Pidgeot, just like Pidgeot, Rufflet, just have your Brave Bird sort of answers there. And Pelipper is just kind of very, very, very spammy. So that's that. Dragons, Arctibax, Dragonair, Shadow and Non-Shadow, Altaria, and then I'm sure Dragonite and stuff is not that much further down. There are your Dragons. Fairy's not in here. Steel's not in here. So Dragon Breath, as you're going to see on the list here, and Fairy's not here, right? Basically, I'm just seeing if anything is resisted here. No. Dragon hits neutral to every single thing on this list. And that's what makes it deadly, because the Dragon Breath damage in itself is a hard-hitting move. Arctibax is at the top because it is half Ice, and again, Ice because of the Flyers and Dragons. So that is why Arctibax is much higher than the rest, but any Dragon is good in this league. Double Dragon is not a new concept in this league. Look, and then let's just kind of go over the rest. Lickitung, you can't escape Lickitung, right? it's bulky. It's got the lick for the ghosts. Spammy, like just it's Lickitung, right? You know what Lickitung is. Auroras, or I put Auroras on 2 of my teams. I'm killing it so far in the Retro Cup. I've got a team that went 9-1, and then I'm on my second team that is currently 5-1. And I think both losses were to Auroras. Auroras is very, very tricky because it has the Powder Snow Weather Ball, which can hit 4 against the Flyers, and it has Meteor Beam, which can end the Dragons, and then it has Meteor Beam, which can boost its attack, which can cause it to get really out of hand. So that, and then steals are gone, right? So that's one thing that's not, you don't have to worry about, because the steel would wall every single thing here. So roars, definitely one I'm going to try on one of my next teams coming forward. I've got it on 2 teams here. Frostless is there. Frostless 6. I know it's got the, because of the ice. So the ice ghost, again, ghost a little more unchecked because dark is gone. Ice because of all the dragons and flyers. And then Jellicent as one of the best ghosts in the game as well. You can also use Cofagrigus. I just think Jellicent gives you a little more coverage in this meta. But that is it for the ghosts on this list. Yeah. I'm going to jump to, before I get into Abomasnow Cresselia, I'm just going to jump into the normal typings and Vigoroth and Double. I use Double on my first team. There's everything safe, right? Your only weakness is counter. So you're really only looking out for Vigoroth and Double. Like, there are medis and stuff in here, but not as much when you have so many ghosts and so many flyers. So I think Vigoroth and Double, just being able to hit for counter, while not taking super effective to flying and actually double resisting ghosts, because normal double resist ghosts, that is why they are super high on this list. I use Double first. I think Vigoroth is the better answer. Having the Rock Slide, I mean, you have payback for the ghost, so it's not like you need the Rock Slide, but having Rock Slide for flyers and Frostlass is a nice combo on Vigoroth now. So definitely buff this season. And then the ones I missed, Abomasnow, Cresselia, Toxapex. I think these are a combo of, like, Abomasnow, I mentioned, I think Abomasnow is so high because flyers and dragons. I mean, I mentioned that multiple times, so just good coverage there. I think Cresselia gets a boost because it really only has a couple weaknesses, and dark is banned, right? So you really only need to watch out for the ghosts, and generally it's just tanky and being able, and has the Moonblast for the dragons. So Fairy is banned, but having the Moonblast still gives you a ton of play in this meta with all the dragons. So that is why Cress is high. And then Toxapex, I think it's just because I think it gets a, I mean, one, it's just strong because it's kind of spammy with Poison Jab, Sludge Wave. It's tanky, so all that stuff it has with Open Great League anyways, but it also benefits from not having to worry about steals. Steals being gone in this definitely improves it a bit. So that is the top 20 ranking. Let's look at some teams. So this first team, speaking about 9-1, here's my 9-1 team. Double Jellicent, Frostlass, Double Ghost in the back, and Double on the lead. You don't... Here's the thing with this team. Do you need to get out right away? In practice... theoretically, yes. In practice, no. Obviously, there are some problems in the back, like Lantern. Like, you can just kind of see down the bottom. Lantern is going to cause this problem. Trevenant is going to cause us combined problems. Lickitung being able to hit super effect there is going to combine those problems. So Double deals with all those. So do you need to leave right away? No. Is it good practice to leave right away into Frostlass or Jellicent? I think Frostlass is generally safer. I think yes. I think you should probably try and draw out that Ghost or that Lickitung with one of these two. The only sort of problems is, actually, it's not, I mean, it is a big problem because you can, like, if you safe swap Frostlass, you can pull out a Skeledirge, or you can pull out maybe other fire Pokemon. So you won't necessarily, or rocks, you won't necessarily always pull out that Ghost. So that's why I said in practice, you don't need to try and pull it out, but you can. And then I think Jellicent's a little trickier to try and pull out because normal will wall you have Hex and Shadow Ball, or Surf, so normal will wall you a little harder than Frostlass. Plus there's Lanterns just roaming everywhere as well. So that is team number 1 that did well with. And team number 2, haven't used yet, but it's just an old go-to team. A double dragon team. I put it with Lantern. Your main weaknesses as a dragon is in this meta with Fairy Band is going to be Ice. Arctobax actually neutralizes that, being half ice itself, but Dragonair obviously just gonna have to worry about the ice weakness, and so Lantern just being super bulky will deal with that. Lantern weak to grass and electric, which both dragons will resist that. So easy pair. I think Arctobax is your safe swap, just being able to hit with that Avalanche or Icy Wind. I saw it with both. Is a huge upgrade for a double dragon strategy that is very popular in the past. You can go look out past videos. I think someone else maybe already played this league and put it out this week. So yeah, double dragon is a very, very common strategy. And if you look at my top What's changed this season in the what's early risers, early fallers? I've already mentioned 20 times how dragons are on the rise. And again, with Fairy Band, it is one of the top picks in this meta. This one I decided to go a little off the board. So let's just talk about Auroras. The other two I'll talk about. I'm not sold on the other two. Quite honestly, I'm sold on Auroras. I think just looking at Auroras as flyer, dragon combo there, being able to ramp up with Meteor Beam. Super strong Pokemon in this meta. I don't love using Auroras. Every time I've used it in the Great League and Master in Ultra League, I've hated it. I think in this league it has a ton of play. So gotta watch out for like waters, which will hit super effective because you're rock. You gotta watch out for fighters too a little bit because counter will ramp or double kick will add up there. But in that, it's pretty safe. I put in Mantine first because I want to see it, but again, it's just like I know there's Lantern, I know there's ice Pokemon, even against like dragons. I mean, I guess dragons you have Ice Beam, so that's not totally true. But yeah, I'm still not sold on it. It looks generally safe outside of a couple like Auroras with Meteor Beam and Lantern with Spark and Surf. So you have to land like a bunch of Meteor Beams there. So take that in mind with Mantine. I put in Chestnut as a third, as a cover, because with Mantine and Auroras, you're kind of like Lantern's gonna be an issue. Regirock can kind of hit both. So I was like, I need an answer. So Chestnut is an answer. Kind of tricky with flyers and ice. So I'm not sold on Chestnut, but it is an option to cover that weakness, or you can try and find a fourth Pokemon to cover that weakness. Fourth team here. Double normal team. Emolga lead, Lickitung, Vigoroth. You don't need to use Emolga lead. You're back to our weak to just counter, right? Normal only has one weakness, counter. So I put in a flyer to answer that. So that's the thought process. You don't need to, because there's not a ton of just like, I guess fighting isn't banned, so you could. I was like, you only need to worry about like Double or Vigoroth. That's not true, because Medi and stuff are not banned. Machamp is not banned. So you might want to go with, you can go to one of two ways. You can just go a flyer in Emolga, or you can go something like Jellicent and a Ghost to deal with that. But yeah, Vigoroth, like I said, Lickitung is one of the top in this meta. Just again, bulky, lick, body, like it's Lickitung. I don't need to talk about Lickitung. Vigoroth generally is safest in this meta, I think. Just having that access to Rock Slide makes it so much more better in this meta. As a nice secondary coverage move. So definitely a Pokemon to look into. I mean, most people probably should have a Vigoroth by now, and if you don't, I would suggest getting one because it's also good in other cups. Pidgeot was one of the top on the list as well. It's always, I hate using Pidgeot. I hate going against Pidgeot because it's always Feather Dance versus Brave Bird bait game, right? Ever since they buff Wing Attack, they get to those Feather Dances and Brave Birds seemingly very quick. And it's just like, are they going to nuke me and bail, or are they just going to Feather Dance me and lower my attack? And that also causes me problems. So lots of wins from that perspective. How many are wins from baiting and then landing a Brave Bird? You'd have to run the sims yourself. So, but it's an option as a flyer. Again, if you're going to have a flyer, you're going to be weak to ice, and you're going to be weak to rock. So to cover that, I put in Quagsire and Regirock just to cover both of those in the back, right? Because both of those will cover that. And you should basically have coverage. You are double weak to grass in the back too. Like Regirock and Quagsire are both weak to something like Trevenant. So now that you kind of need to pull out one of those and then punish it with a Pidgeot. And speaking of Trevenant, that's why I knew it, because I'm like, you know what, Trevenant has some play. It's tricky. There's a lot of flyers. There's a lot of ice. So from that perspective, it's like, but then you know what? There's some ghosts that you will beat. There are just like Lantern and Regirock and Rock type Pokemon that you can beat. So it's decent. And then I put Aurora because I think Aurora is going to be busted. And Poliwrath, I think having Icy Wind makes Poliwrath much safer in this meta, right? Icy Wind for the dragons and flyers, as your main weakness is going to be flying. But just generally safe all around. I think, Poliwrath. Scald, I'm thinking when you use Scald, I feel like Icy Wind's going to be the choice for most of these moves, but I'd probably go Scald against like, would it be Vigoroth? Could you just Scald and counter down? I'd have to run Sims. I didn't love playing with Poliwrath early in the season, but I think maybe just like I got unlucky with the thing. I think I'll have to give Poliwrath another chance. But that is the Retro Cup analysis. So like I said, I already used team number 1, the double Jellicent Frostlass team, and I did very, very, very well with it. So you will see that I'm still debating. I'm debating whether, because I'm going to shoot that video today. So I'm debating whether just to make it go live at like 4:30 p.m. or just save it till Saturday morning. I haven't decided yet. So you'll either see it like right at 4 or I'll put it tomorrow morning. We'll see. We'll see how far I can get ahead on videos here. But yeah, that's the meta. Your other option is Ultra League. So if you want to look at the new rankings for Ultra League, which are wild in my opinion, that video will drop at 1:15 Eastern time this afternoon. So stay tuned for that. And then I team build around the new buffed Pokemon, or the Pokemon that are now in the top like 30, which includes stupid stuff like Lantern and stuff like that. So like I didn't think I'd have to build a bunch of Pokemon for Ultra League, but the rankings are pretty pretty out there. So stay tuned for those this afternoon, and then later this afternoon maybe the first team for Retro Cup. That is it. Thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful. Let me know if you've played last week. I saw a couple, you know what? I actually saw a couple people submitted teams. And if it's Retro Cup, that I can actually just very easily showcase those. So I'm going to look at my viewer submitted battles, see if there's any Retro Cup, and then showcase some of those this week. So that is it. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.